Okay, in this video, you're going to learn a lot about using layer effects in WeVideo. So this is random, but here we have a busy New York street, a dancing Santa, a chicken crossing the road, tourists taking pictures, and a rain effect, all done through layer work. Yes, it is random, but yes, this is how you will learn to do some cool effects in the videos that you will film and edit. So let me show you how I did this, and then you can create your own random masterpiece. So in WeVideo, underneath the star, I searched for New York City, and you can actually narrow your search so that it only searches for videos. And there's a lot of cool stock footage here for you to use. I'm looking for one that's from the same camera angle that's not moving, of just people walking down the street. So after scrolling through and not finding anything I liked, I decided to modify my search and add New York City street. This narrowed it down, and I think this is the clip that I'm going to use now. So this busy New York street's going to be my backdrop, so I'm going to put it on my bottom, or one of my video layers, and then I can just pile things on top of it through Chroma Key effects. So I thought it would be funny to type in green screen dance. There's a lot of random things there. There's my dancing Santa. Once I select my Santa, I'm just going to drag him on top of my New York backdrop. And when I hit spacebar to play it, all I see is the Santa covering the street. I need to pull that green out through Chroma Key Editing or Color Key Editing. So double click it. You could scale it just to resize it. Go to your dropper, which selects your color. Click it. Click the green. The green has been removed. Now what I'm going to want to do is reposition my Santa, because right now it looks like he's kind of floating and he's a bit bigger than the people. So I'm going to go back into that layer through double clicking. There's a bunch of different options here, but the option that I'm looking for is transform, which allows us to resize our object and pick it up and move it and replace it. So another thing I want to do while I'm editing the Santa layer is I want to recolor him, because the nighttime backdrop is darker. He's very bright. So we can actually mess with our image adjustments through the color tab and lower the brightness. Notice that it took away the background, but I think that's just because our background ended. The background video ended. When I go back here and mess with the darkness, it's showing up. There's other options too: contrast, saturation, hue, temperature, all have to do with image adjustments and colorization. Play around with those just to get a feel for what they all do. So one thing I'm noticing here is if I look at my timeline, I'm going to see that the Santa video extends beyond the backdrop. So what happens is backdrop ends, Santa's just dancing there. There's nothing behind him. So we could shorten the Santa clip to match the length of the video. And I'll show you something else with copy and paste later in the video that you could do. Okay, so we're going to do some more layer work. Instead of just having a Santa, we're going to add a green screen chicken crossing the road, coming from the right to the left. So there's the chicken. We need to make room for him to cross the road, so we need to add another layer. So the plus sign adds a new layer. Then you can drag the new object, video object down. There's the chicken, but we have to color key. So we double click. Just going to scale them because I'm not going to keep them that big. Select my green, or select my color, hit the green. Chicken is floating across the road. So go back in and double click, transform, move the chicken where you want the chicken to go. So if you put him here in the center, things are going to look a little weird. He's going to just cut off, which you'll see. Okay, so because I resized the chicken layer and I moved it to the center, you're going to see he's just going to cut off into like this invisible wall. So what we have to do is go back in, resize. So we're going to transform it, put it up against the left edge, and then make it back to the size it was before. That way he goes from right to left and does not cut off into an invisible wall. Okay, so I wasn't sure what else to do in my very random video, so I just typed in green screen. I saw some people that look like tourists and thought, well, this might be cool. So I'm going to find some tourists that I like and add them down above the chicken layer. But notice I added a new layer to make room for them. But with the tourists there, we have a bit of an issue now. The tourists are going to stay on screen longer than the Santa, the chicken, and the New York City backdrop. So when the timeline marker keeps running, it went blank and only the people are left on screen. So here's a way, rather than searching for each object again and again, you can copy and paste. So click the backdrop, Control C on your keyboard, and then slide your timeline marker over to the right where there's nothing there, and then Control V to paste it. Then you can just drag that backdrop that you just copied and pasted up against the original, and there it is. So I'm going to do the same thing with the Santa and the chicken here. I'm going to go up and click on the Santa layer, Control C, slide over to the right, Control V, and then drag it over. Same thing with the chicken. Click it, Control C, come over, Control V, slide it over. The trick here is you can only paste where there's an empty spot on your timeline. It will not let you copy and paste over top of other objects. So that's why I had to slide over to the right to make that happen. So looking at my timeline here, my video has a bit of a gap between the intro and the video layer objects. I'm going to select them and then slide them over to the left. Sometimes it's hard to select all layers at one time when you have so many layers, so I'm just doing a little bit at a time. That way I don't have a blank gap between my intro and my actual video. Okay, so now for the rain effect. This can be tricky. It's not as simple as just keying out the color green as we did for the chicken and the Santa. So I'm going to go back up here and search for rain. There's going to be a lot of rain things that won't work, such as just rain splashing. I tried this one here, did not work as well, the rain with transparent alpha. Rain at night seemed to work better. So I take that, drag it onto my new layer above my tourists. When I go to play it, I see nothing but the rain. Now, just to show you how chroma keying doesn't really work here because it's not green, double-click the layer, went into color keying, select my color, selected black. When we play it, it really doesn't work much at all. All you see is a little bit of static over here at the bottom. So I will take that chroma key or the color keying effect, delete it, and try something else. So this is done through fading options. Fading options are really cool if you're doing fade ins, fade outs, or if you want something to be slightly transparent like pictures that we did. This will only work though if you are pretty much zoomed in like I just was. So to zoom in, just do this. That allows you to more precisely see your layers. So I will select my rain layer, and now I have some options for effects. This is a clip editor. These are fade options, and then those are various effects. The fade options, when you click on it, it adds a green bar and a point at the beginning and a point at the end. What I'm going to do is drag that point down just a little bit. That makes it somewhat transparent. Do the same percentage at the end, something similar. Can't remember what it was. 40. Zoom out a little bit now so that I can see more of my clip. Hitting spacebar to play now shows that rain looks like it's over top of our images. It did darken our images though, because you're still seeing that black. It's just a little bit transparent. So what you could always do to kind of counteract the fade over here, you can go into each layer and try to brighten them up a little bit. But if you brighten them too much, it starts to look really fake. But that's just a way that you can go in and apply your effects. If you do that with one layer, though, you would need to do that with all, with your chicken and the Santas and the New York City background. There's a lot more that you will discover on your own with layer effects. You can also go in and do mirror images of objects. Just explore. In the original activity you guys did the other day, you can keep adding on to it, and then when you're done, hit finish, export it as an MP4, and add that to the practice assignment in Google Classroom. If you already turned in the practice assignment, make another project in WeVideo where you're using a lot more layers, such as this example, and next time we have class, we will talk about video projects.